I'm real tough. Little faces. Yeah. So basically, we're just gonna have to start. I think there's nothing. We can't delay it any longer. Okay. It's Undoomed. If you've not been aware of Undoomed in the past, this guy doesn't like me, which I don't blame him because I don't like him more. He's a loser, man. He's got this really artificially deep voice. And even if it's not artificial, he's like clearly doing a thing. It's like down here. You'll see. It's I can't do it justice. Silent Pete, thanks for the 29 months. Some people like this shit, like the sound of it. I can't stand it. I think he's awful. And he's not funny. He tries to be. He's sometimes pretty gross about shit. He'll make like sex jokes. I don't know. He's just gross. The production value is a little bit higher than your standard chud, so that's at least good from a visual standpoint. But he is, in the year of our Lord 2021, still doing anti-SJW content. This particular one is called Critical Race Theory in Practice. He buys so much fucking B-roll. He's incredible, Big Boomer. There might be house clips in here from the old TV show House. Yeah, so if you don't know your Undoomed lore, he's also faceless and stupid. Anyway, so this is him bitching about critical race theory, which is probably not actually critical race theory. It's probably just not being racist book. You know? How's the channel doing view-wise? This came out an hour ago, or 2 hours ago almost. Hour and a half, I guess. And it's got 4,000 views. Not great. Especially for a channel that has 272,000 subscribers. But, you know, like, most people are just fucking tired of his dumb shit, right? So, yeah, he's not a very bright guy. Anyway, so here's Undoomed. He is a boomer.
Hi, I'm Sydney, and today I'm going to be reading a kid's book about white privilege by Ben.
He's gonna say something super shitty right off the top. This is his thing. Wow, I didn't know we were dealing with fucking dumbasses, or something stupid like that.
Ben Sand.
Oh, dear Lord.
Yeah, so you see, that you just understand that. Oh, dear Lord, that's like literally the level of bants we're dealing with. Oh, dear Lord, really? That's what your stinger was for this video?
Hey, everyone, and welcome back.
Ugh.
It's been a minute, hasn't it?
Ugh.
Well, such is life. Day jobs take precedence.
Day jobs take precedence? Was that an intentional? Is he gonna make a shitty joke here? Was that intentional?
Anyway, I hope you've had a nice time and that you're ready for a video. I figured we'd have a look at a woman who reads critical race theory to children. You know, to see how CRT is applied in practice. Maybe we can understand them a little better, or maybe we can just have a few laughs. We'll see.
Silent Pete, thanks for the 29 months, dude. Nikki Bushy, pee-pee, thanks for the biddies. You never did get a picture frame to burn. Damn it! How am I gonna get the big bucks if I don't get picture frames? He has lots of picture frames in these. A lot of lore happening right now. When the holy hell is this chud ASMR? Yeah. It is what it is. Yeah.
But before all that, let me tell you about this video's sponsor.
You have a sponsor? I don't fucking want to listen to you. What's sponsor?
Me. In other words, check out my t-shirt store.
Oh, just me. Never mind.
I just added 3 new designs. Link will be in the description. So, get your popcorn and strap in. It's gonna be a bumpy ride.
It's gonna be a
enjoy.
Bumpy. The energy on these videos is so weird. Like, did I try to light a picture frame on fire? That sounds like me. That sounds like a thing I might do. I'm stupid. Don't light picture frames on fire in your house. I'm trying to see if I have any sort of prop at all that'll help me with this. It won't. We're just, yeah, we got nothing. I think in honor of Uncoomed here, what I'm gonna have to do here is, just because he's, you know, He's the he's got the fullest balls of any chud ever. Mythical creature, thanks for the 10 months. I think we'll have to honor him with a little bit of decoration, just for just for the Coom brand. So this is the Coom corn. That's a corn kake right there. So yeah, we'll just be wearing the Coom corn in honor of Uncoomed. Not everyone is a sex haver, Jake. No, this guy thinks he wants to be a sex haver, though. I hate to admit it, but I used to be such a big fan of Undoomed about 5 to 6 years ago. Looking back, I'm ashamed of it. But thanks to you and other leftists, I saw how bad it is. That's okay, Darth Hayes. We all make bad decisions. He's dumb. He's not a good guy. He's not funny. Take us back to 2014. Well, we are. Here we go.
This kids book series is my all-time favorite series because it's a great way to start a conversation about topics such as white privilege.
As we'll see once she opens the book, this book is for 6-year-olds. Is there truly no room left anymore for kids to just be kids?
Well, I don't think teaching kids not to hate people is like an anti-kid activity. Isn't literally part of, and this guy probably doesn't have kids. I don't either, but I've taken care of kids and I went to school to be a teacher. I'm pretty sure most of raising children is teaching them not to be shitty people before they're people. You know what I mean? Like, kids are like sort of people. You know what I mean? They're like on their way to being people. And by the time they're in their 20s, they're going to be real people with real opinions, and they will have actual conviction. And before they get to that point, you got to teach them kind of what their convictions, like, you know, not necessarily ought to be, but like kind of like the kind of person that you'd like to be around. And then you raise your kids. And I think maybe it would be best to teach kids not to be racist early. Yeah, early. This isn't stealing any time from kids being children. This is just understanding how kids learn stuff. If Undoomed had any background at all in how to teach people, he would understand this, but he doesn't. There is a reason that we teach kids in 6th grade and below and above all sorts of things they don't necessarily have to deal with. Like, do kids when they're 6 years old have anything to do with, like, turtles? No. Or dinosaurs? Fuck no. They have literally no business in archaeology or zoology. But guess what? Or any other biology, whatever the fuck you got going on. They have nothing going on there. They're fucking children. But guess what? We still teach them stuff. Let kids be kids. Well, yeah, they are kids. They're going to continue to be kids long after they learn not to be racist. And then eventually they'll be non-racist adults, which is ideal.
As kids are never too young to start learning about things like this.
True.
I guess not. Next up, in vitro indoctrination.
If Undoomed had any balls whatsoever, he doesn't. If Undoomed had any balls whatsoever, he would be able to sit down and have a conversation with me about something like this, and I would ask him, do you think teaching someone not to be racist is indoctrination? And then he would have to say, yes, if he wanted to be consistent about the take he just had here, right? Has he ever responded to me? Not in any serious way. He's not intellectual. I've talked to him on Twitter a few times about stuff, and he just deflects because he's a little bitch. And that's just how it is, dude. Chuds are fucking cowards, bro. Like, I have a fucking cream-covered corn on my forehead right now. I'm in a mascot suit. I should not be intimidating to you. And if you can't even talk to me about this kind of shit with any sort of confidence, should anybody take your fucking, like opinions seriously? Come on. Come the fuck on, dude.
And it's so important to be educated about topics like white privilege.
Oh, yes. I'm sure it comes up all the time at the dinner table. At Chuck E. Cheese.
Know
What?
your limitations. You are a moron.
What? Do people go to Chuck E. Cheese still? Is that a thing? Is the dinner table Chuck E. Cheese, by the way? Does he think that people with kids eat at Chuck E. Cheese regularly? Like that's a thing? Oh, I guess we'll go to Chuck E. Cheese again tonight. Tots? As a guy, he calls his kids tots. He's a weirdo.
True. It's time white parents talk
Chuck E. Cheese pizza slaps? You don't fucking lie to me. Don't fucking lie to me. I'll order Chuck E. Cheese pizza just to verify this. That sounds awful.
to white kids about race.
So you're just going to single out one race? How very racist of you.
What? She's white. What do you think she's going to... Do you think this white lady is going to go talk to black kids about race? She's a white lady. What opinion could she have that would illuminate a black kid about race and their experience with it? In fact, this is a really good example of why you're a dumbass, Undoomed. So a black kid who's 6 years old and a white kid who's 6 years old. Which one of them do you think, if their parents don't interact at all with them on the topic of racism, which one of them do you think is more likely to experience either just any racism at all, not necessarily directed at them, just which one do you think will experience racism first? It's probably the black kid, right? Because people are racist. The black kid's going to experience racism, whether it's pointed at their parents or their peers or whatever. They're going to experience racism. Now, a white kid, especially like when I was growing up, I grew up, clearly I'm white, and I grew up with a white family. I grew up in the woods, rurally in Michigan. Not a lot of black people out there, and I grew up in a place where very casual racism was a thing, especially from my dad, who I've talked about before. Not a great guy, and I didn't realize until I really got into like high school, like that was like racist, like what that meant, because they didn't talk to me about that, right? But if I'm a little kid and I have, and I have the conversation like, hey, nobody's different than you just because they look different, and luckily I wasn't a racist kid, but I did have racist classmates, specifically like two of them. It wasn't really that bad at my school. To be fair, there wasn't a lot of black kids. We did have some. And I could have definitely benefited from an early conversation about like that. Like I'm a kid. I'm not going to understand like the metaphor of the star-bellied Sneetches from Dr. Seuss, right? I need an adult to interpret that for me and sort of let me know what's going on there. I can't synthesize information like that. I'm a kid, right? So it takes an active approach to education, which Undoomed is obviously not qualified to talk about, but yet he persists.
But then again, who the hell am I kidding? That's what you people are.
To be a child in the world today is to be confronted with the complexities of race.
As a child of today? Are you saying this is a new thing? Or are you saying that things have gotten worse lately?
No, neither of those things are so that's a false dichotomy. It's just a false dichotomy. It's not about racism being new, and it's certainly not about it being worse lately. What it is about is that we're all connected in a way that we weren't when we were kids. Like when I was a kid in the 90s, I was not exposed to the same amount of interaction with other people that kids my age nowadays would be exposed to, right? We didn't have chat rooms until the fucking 2000s, bro. Like late 90s, early 2000s. I didn't have internet. I had like Net Zero. Remember those CDs you put in the disc tray? Like, what the fuck are you talking about, bro? Like, how can you not contextualize the modern time and the way that we communicate to each other with the education of somebody else and understanding that, hey, in the information age, in the social media boom era, it would behoove us as a society. I sort of slurred that a little bit. It would behoove us as I can't say it, as a society. There we go. To like address the issue before it becomes a problem, right? Like in the 70s, in the 60s, kids were faced with like the Vietnam War, and like and serial killers were a big thing back then, and there was like kids kids were being like stolen, and I mean that still happens, but the way the media covered it was a very different experience. When I was a kid in the 90s, I saw race riots because of Rodney King. Very early, I was like 5-6 years old, probably about the same time this was, and race became a very big thing. Obviously, the Juice. The fuck is his name? Why can't I think of the Juice right now? It's OJ. Thank you. Why can't I think of fucking OJ, dude? I was there. I watched the fucking coverage of that stupid SUV. Like Bill Clinton was a thing, so blowjobs became a topic of conversation. And just in the 90s, I was exposed to a lot of shit that like kids shouldn't be exposed to. But I mean, like, did I get harmed by it? No, I just learned more about the world. And then obviously 9/11 happened in 2001, so there was a lot of Arab racism, which was interesting because my first big-time girlfriend, a few years after that, because I was like a kid in 2001. A few years after that, when I became a teenager, my first major girlfriend was an Arab woman, and so I got like firsthand experience of like the kind of racism pointed at her, specifically her family, and stuff like that. So like. There's not like a point in life where things are too heavy for you. You just learn about them. And if you take a proactive, measured approach towards educating your kids, that's a good thing. And you don't have to say like I don't know, anything specific about racism. If you just instill the idea that someone is not different because they look different than you and they deserve dignity and respect and consent and all of the things that you already teach your kids, hopefully, then, I mean, what's the fucking deal? How can you be against this? How can you be anti this? I don't understand it, dude. Teach kids whatever you want to teach them, but preferably to be better people, because that's how they learn to be. Has he never met a 6-year-old? They're terribly inquisitive. They ask all sorts of questions.
But we still have a long way to go when it comes to this conversation.
Oh, I'm sure you think so, but I'm not sure we can afford to let people like you make things worse.
What do you mean? Make what worse? I can't believe I have to stop so much for this. It's not... God damn it, Undoomed. He just says things wrong all the time. He just is constantly wrong about stuff. What makes this worse? Like, teaching a kid that not to be racist makes it better for people. Unless you mean it makes it uncomfortable for racist people. Like, do you think a black person... Okay, this is a good question. Do you think a black person in America is helped or harmed by the populace becoming less racist? Can't believe I have to ask that fucking question to you, dude.
We've neglected the topic of privilege for too long.
Really? Where? Because I'd like to go there.
So I decided to write this book with the hope that white children growing up today will see their privilege and use it.
We've only been talking about this for like a couple of years. What do you mean? Like really since 2016 is when these conversations started to happen. Then people like Undoomed started just fucking whinging.
For good.
Again, with the white kids. Are we going to have segregated books now?
Let's be the parents that decide not to perpetuate the myth that all children start from the same spot.
Was anyone seriously thinking that?
No, sir.
Never.
Talk about tilting at windmills. Nobody believes that every kid starts from the same spot. What a complete straw man.
I think Undoomed only means economically in this situation, though, right? What's with the movie clips? That's just how he fucking edits. It's really terrible. I think it was a show clip, by the way. I think it was the show Stargate, not the... yeah, pretty sure that was the show. I don't understand, like... We're talking about social hurdles that people have to overcome because we're talking about racism. We're not talking about economic, like socioeconomic, necessarily. We're talking about specifically socio, right? But he doesn't give a shit. He's dumb.
It's the fact that you people believe that race is the most important factor in determining that spot.
Okay, we're leftists. Do any of us think race is the #1 factor in determining someone's position in life under the American system? Because I think we all agree it's definitely economic, right? Like, it's absolutely 100% money, correct? It's classism, not racism that's #1. Racism exacerbates classism. Right. Like, what? No one's saying that, Undoomed. Literally nobody is saying that race... I mean, unless they're like fucking libs. Maybe libs. But this person isn't a lib. It's not the most important. It's just an important thing. Nothing has to be like... Nothing has to necessarily supersede anything else to be important. You know what I mean? Like... I don't know, man. That's like... It's like fucking weird shit. It's so weird to be defensive about that, too. It's just... There we go. We'll give you another copy there. It's just strange. It's sus, is what it is. It's pretty sus that you, like, get defensive about that. You know? Like, it makes me go, like, does this bother you that someone might be less racist? I don't know. Maybe you should talk to an actual leftist. Coward?
Is what we oppose.
Instead, let's empower our children with the knowledge to build a new space together.
But only if they're segregated, apparently.
No. That's not... It just said build the space together. It just said that.
Hi, my name is Ben.
Wait, did you just become out of breath from turning the page?
Bro, what? Is he, like, body shaming her? Like, what the fuck, dude? I think she's cute. Like, what? Like, what? Dude, I'm out of breath from yelling at you already. That's what it is. I'm gonna go run after this, though. So, it's fat folk. Fuck. Not even that big, dude. Whatever, dude. She looks good.
And this is my book about white privilege. White privilege? What's that?
I think I can sum it up for you.
Oh, good. I'm sure this is going to be really reasoned and definitely good.
Well...
But it's bullshit. It's bullshit mountain, and then it got struck by lightning. Huh.
First, I have to explain to you what I mean by white.
Oh, I'm pretty sure it's going to end up meaning oppressor.
I want you to look at the color of your skin.
Mm-hmm.
What color is it?
Ooh, I know this one. Toilet seat complexion, right?
When I look at my arm, it's kind of a pinkish reddish beige like the color of this page.
So just beige then.
Okay. I don't know why. I don't even know why you have... Like, he has to constantly stop. So just beige then. Like he has to be... He has to, like, one-up everything somebody else says. It sounds terribly insecure. So, I don't know if anybody knows this about people's skin. You might see my skin, and you might see that underneath my skin, there is a reddish undertone to it. It's called an undertone to your skin. There's other people, white passing people, that have a yellow undertone to their skin. A great example of this is someone like Laura Bailey. Laura Bailey. She is a voice actress and a member of Critical Role, but she has like a sort of a yellowish, and it sort of gives her a very warm skin tone, and people really like that. And I don't know, it's just, I think her husband Travis Willingham has like a pink undertone. Yeah. For the most part. And so I'm trying to find a picture where you can kind of like really see it. When they're in studio lighting, you can really, really tell, especially on Critical Role. But anyway, ooh, here you go. Whatever. But there's just different skin tones on people, man. That's okay. That's okay. It's fine to talk about that, and it's because of our different heritages. And I have no idea why he's bringing this up. No clue. But if you love Critical Role, you'll love Charisma Saves. I also do that. It's our D&D podcast, or live play show.
But when people talk about what color I
Laura Bailey,
am, they would say white.
Yeah, they would. Yes.
But why?
Because
Oh my fuck.
pinkish reddish beige is too long.
It's oh fuck.
If white is actually the color of this page and my skin looks different, then what does it mean that I'm white?
It doesn't mean anything. It's a label of a physical characteristics. It's pointless. It's like red hair or brown eyes.
That would be the case if we were a post-racism society. So thanks for being a race abolitionist there, my friend. But obviously it means something just from a social perspective, even if we don't want it to, even if we agree that it's fucked up, that it should, that it does, well, not even should, that it does take any sort of like I don't know, that our skin tones carry some social weight at all is the problem. And that's like the reason it's being addressed. And so you agree right now, you agree that basing anything off of skin tone is fucked up. That is literally the thesis of being anti-racist and critical race theory. That is literally, you agree with the actual idea behind it. The goal. Any form of racism is bad. We agree. Basing someone's social status on their skin tone is icky. Yes. You don't disagree with this.
Sure, if you're in the cosmetics industry, you might be interested in these statistics, but for the rest of us, it's meaningless.
Well,
And the rest of us white people, it's fucking meaningless. Are you kidding me, dude? Do you think someone with darker skin than mine can just be like, yeah, skin color is meaningless. It's never affected me or never will. No. That's the point. The point is that it should be meaningless, but it isn't. And we want it to be meaningless. And the only way to make it meaningless is to address the problem and illuminate people on the problem and be like, hey, this is why it's harmful. This is what a better life would be like. And if we just stop giving a shit about this, it wouldn't be a big deal, man. And we could just all be happy. Like genuinely, it's addressing a problem does not exacerbate the problem necessarily or even often. It just means you're opening communication to try to fix the problem. It's just like having a relationship in general. Like if you and your significant other or others are not communicating to one another, at a certain point, that relationship's going to break down. And there's going to be animosity. There's going to be, just general anger and disdain. And you don't want someone, to feel negatively in general, right? Like, especially if you're in a relationship. Now just consider society at large. If we don't open up communication about certain problems, and the black community is saying and has been saying since they were forced to be here, hey, this is fucked up. This is a fucked up situation. And it gets better, of course. The bar was pretty low since it started at chattel slavery, Undoomed. So forgive us if we're not quite on even ground yet, though we'd like to be. You know what I mean? Like, why are you so fucking... Every conservative, every chud, they're just terrified of having this conversation. And do you know why they're fucking terrified of having this conversation? I'll tell you. Papa Jakey's got you, baby bird. The reason that they're terrified of having this conversation is because they're guilty of some of the things that are shitty. And understanding that you're guilty of some of the shitty things means you have to admit that once you agree to a definition of racism, you have to agree that you have been racist at points in time. Maybe not all the time, maybe just sometimes, dude. I guarantee you that I have said insensitive things based on other people's race on accident. I never meant to hurt anybody's feelings, but I guarantee you, just based on the way I grew up. I grew up with a relatively racist dad in a totally white town with very few black people, not a single person of Asian descent, and a few people of Mexican descent, or I guess I thought they were Mexican. I don't even know, but like Hispanic maybe, but probably Mexican just based on the demographics around my area. But I guarantee you I've said insensitive things. Guarantee it. Now, I've never called anyone the N-word before. My dad fucking has, though. And so, I told a story about this once. He called basketball my favorite sport now. And when I was a kid, I was super pumped I made the basketball team. And he called the sport an N-word sport. And really took the wind out of my sails. And I was really fucking mad. And I remember that disappointment in my dad at that point. And kind of like, that's a big moment for me in understanding just kind of the type of guy he was. So that's the kind of space I grew up in. Like, and that was very casual. Imagine if I had like an actively racist person, like, and that wasn't just like a few flashbulb moments where I remember him being racist, right? Because it wasn't daily. It was just like sometimes he would say something really shitty. Like probably a handful of times in my life. And then he would act a certain way sometimes as well. But how do you... I just don't understand. Like, how do you how do you not admit just openly, like, yeah, I was, I'm only a product of my situation, and if you had any sort of racism in your past, like growing up, like, of course you're gonna carry some of that into adulthood. All it is about addressing it and making sure that people that don't look like me can be comfortable around me after I address, any issues I had growing up. Because I'm only a kid. It's not your fault necessarily. Like, racism is taught. It's not just felt, right? And you're not necessarily a bad person for being taught to be a racist, right? Even if it's mild racism, you're not, or even hardcore racism. You're a victim of your situation, but you have to be brave enough to understand that that's not a good thing and to be like, yeah, I'm gonna make a change. But chuds fucking aren't. They're pussies, dude. And that's just the way it is. And Undoomed's another fucking one of them.
Grown-ups a long time ago decided to create labels for people. These labels were determined by skin color.
So you understand that it's an arbitrary label and you still want to perpetuate it. What the fuck's wrong with you?
You can't judge people by what they think or say, only by what they do.
Saying is doing stuff, for the record. You can judge people for what they say. That is an action. I disagree, Star Trek. I disagree. You can judge someone for what they say.
There's a long and complicated reason for this, but we don't have time to get into it.
How extremely convenient for you.
Some of these labels were white, black, brown, etc.
Yes, etc. of course being the most common word in use by 6-year-olds.
Okay, now we need to talk about the other word, privilege.
Looking forward to seeing you
He just cuts her off all the time.
fuck up the definition of
So
that.
much.
Privilege is when someone has an advantage that they haven't earned.
What?
Wrong, dumb fuck.
Wait, why is he so mad? How's that wrong? Give me the different definition. I gotta know.
The word privilege places no judgment on whether it was earned or not.
What? No, I'm pretty sure it does. Privilege is an inherent sort of thing, right? Like I think only in economic privilege would I agree with that. Most of the time when someone talks about privilege, specifically white privilege here, which was the topic, not just like kind of not that. Like you have a little bit of privilege. I think the word privilege really fucks up chuds because they're dum-dums and are unwilling to like actually acquiesce and just listen for a second because they're so willing. Like I mean, Undoomed is just constantly talking, right? And I know it's his content, but like it's every sentence, right? You can't just like take some time with something, but which means that I have to fucking do it all the time, which is just exhausting. Privilege is a little bit of a bad marketing as far as like what it actually means. Because privilege to chuds implies some sort of like, I don't know, bonus. When really what it does mean is just that other people don't necessarily have as many advantages, just inherent advantages. Wormy, thanks so much for the 2 gifted subbies, man. Give one to Luna and Photos. I appreciate you, dude. It's freaking annoying how often he's terrible. Privilege is a broader concept, and it's more of a social concept than this. It's like I didn't earn being white. No one earns that. I didn't earn, like I have the privilege of not being terribly neurodivergent. I don't think I have any. I don't have any diagnosed, neurodivergent adjacent issues. I probably have some form of ADHD. It's undiagnosed, but there's markers there that make a lot of sense. I get stun locked by stuff. I don't know. That's a privilege. I didn't earn that. I have the privilege of, I don't know. I'm naturally sort of well spoken. For the most part, I'm good at communicating. This is why this is my job. I've always been kind of funny. Like, these are all privileges. These are not like big time privileges. The biggest one is probably right now a white guy, a cis guy, a straight guy. So I'm all those. Sorry to disappoint. I'm the one that exists in this community. And also, I'd say probably at this point, although this is not always the case, you know, I'm relatively comfortable monetarily right now. Like right in this moment, I'm pretty comfortable. This has not been the case for like a decade. I was pretty fucking poor, like from 17 to 27 roughly. I was basically just really poor, and I was pretty much still poor until 2 years ago, for the most part. I was still paycheck to paycheck. I could afford more bills. Although I live quite under my means at this point, but I don't, like, and you could say that that's earned, but I mean, there's lots of circumstances within that like I got lucky, right? Like it's yes, there's some skill involved, but you got to get some luck in there too, and it's all sort of a crapshoot, and it's capitalism fucking sucks, man. And I don't know, it really bothers me that he's so negative all the time about this shit. Like, are you seriously incapable of having this conversation without getting incredibly insecure?
It's simply a right or an advantage given to a group or a person.
I mean, if you look at it.
Earned or not. It's simply
a special right, advantage, or immunity granted or available only to a particular group or person. Yeah. Yep. It's a similar advantage, benefit, birthright. Maybe read a little bit. Why show this? It just disagrees with you.
a right or an advantage given to a group or a person.
I didn't know this made the j sound. That's interesting.
It could mean the privilege of owning a home.
Yep, I do.
And you certainly don't get a home without earning it.
That's not necessarily true, but whatever.
Or it can mean the privilege of driving, and you don't get to do that without getting your driver's license. In other words, you've earned the right to drive.
These are not the same types of privileges that we're talking about, bro. This is why I don't think the word privilege was a very good way to go about that. From like privilege and toxic masculinity have led to so many conversations about semantics, it's ridiculous. Those two things alone just fucking... dude, white chuds cannot fucking deal with those two terms. They lose their fucking minds. What? Toxic masculinity? What's toxic about me being masculine? Shut up. You're a fucking loser. It's just a topic. Try to have the fucking discussion without being so insecure. They're literally just little babies. Every time they land back to, they really do, but that's different. Because I don't think land back is a bad thing to call it. Like as far as like a marketing idea. Stellar Vision, thanks so much for the raid, man. Out there aren't able to hand any terms. They're stupid. But yeah, I mean, you can't handle these terms. Like, how about just trying this on for size, Undoomed? How about trying this on? Here we go. Ready? Try to listen to somebody else without getting defensive. How about that? You ever consider just listening to somebody else's opinion without feeling like it's an attack on your insecure self-worth? Wow. Starlin, thanks so much for the 2 months. I must be rich. Hell yeah. Good for you.
Like when your classmate is always chosen to be team captain just because their mom is the coach.
That would be nepotism, you dumb fuck.
Why is he so aggressive? You dumb fuck. He is so threatened by her.
Or when you're racing a friend, but they get a head start.
And that would be cheating.
It's not cheating. Okay, if it's cheating, then we literally are cheating at life. Because we have a step forward from somebody who experiences racism or sexism or any sort of phobia about their inherent being, right? Any sort of isms, any sort of negative experiences they get due to their inherent existence, we do not face as straight white cis men. We just don't. I don't experience. The most I experience from my inherentness is my body shape. And really... like, I've been fit before, I've been unfit before, we're working back towards fit now that my back is healed, and I don't know, dude, maybe it'll work out, I hope so. But who fucking knows? Like, fucking injuries, man, I don't know. My ankle's pretty bad yesterday, I took a day off, but, like, we just don't face that. We just don't. No one's ever yelled at me for being gay or being trans or being non-white or anything like that. I've never had any sort of setback due to my inherent existence, ever. But it happens all the time with people. In fact, I recall specifically being in... I worked at a restaurant for a little bit, and my boss, the owner, was trying to hire people, and she very blatantly said that I don't hire people with... She used the word complex. She meant black. Sounding names. She said, complex sounding names. I want customers to be able to read the names on the name tags, is what she said. And so she didn't hire black people, because in my space, which is Saginaw, Michigan, you can look it up, the demographics are mostly black people. And if you know anything about black culture, you know that they don't name their kids all the time Jake. You know what I mean? Not white sounding names, because guess what? They're not fucking white. And there is a cultural history there. So it's part of the community. Anyway, she didn't hire black people, dude. Yeah. And she said it was fucking complex. Shut up. And by the way, her husband's name was Ali, and he was from fucking Pakistan. I have no... He was a Muslim, though, and he was racist. But I don't understand where they fucking get off, man. I don't understand that shit. She's dead now. It's fine. She died.
You have no idea what you're talking about, do you?
So then, what is white privilege?
What was the reason again? I've forgotten.
Yeah, this is going to amount to original sin, isn't it?
White privilege is when people who are white have additional benefits, advantages, and fewer barriers to overcome than people of color.
That's true.
Are you going to give any examples for
I will. Do you want me to give some examples?
these privileges?
I'm sorry, I must have missed an episode.
People of color are folks with black or brown skin, or of a specific race or ethnicity.
Okay, what about Rachel Dolezal or Sean King? You don't want to think about Sean King, do you?
Sean King has me blocked, but I don't know why. I don't interact with Sean King. But I hear he's not very cool. Is Sean King not cool? Was he sort of a scammer? I don't know. Rachel Dolezal also is white. So that's it. I don't really understand the mention of either of those two.
That doesn't mean that if you're white, you aren't talented or smart or your life is easy.
Oh, come now. That's exactly what you mean, isn't it?
Literally said the opposite, and he goes, "Nuh-uh, you don't mean that. You're really just being mean to me." Shut up, pussy.
It means that you have extra privileges just because of the color of your skin.
No, I really don't.
Okay, let's hear what these egregious privileges really are.
They're not egregious. Bro, you're so sensitive. You're so fucking sensitive. Are you kidding me? It means that, like, if we have, like, a white-sounding name, people will be more likely to fucking hire us for jobs, which under capitalism is a big fucking deal. Things like just not looking at us and inherently seeing us as a threat to your physical harm. That is a thing. That is a real phenomenon that happens. You can read many sociology papers on the subject. You know, a science. You can also, like being cis, for instance. I mean, I guess we're talking about white. Let's talk about white privilege. Let's just talk about white privilege. White privilege. I have the benefit of, and this is probably the biggest one, I have the benefit of familial wealth, like generational wealth. Now, we're not like wealthy. I'm just mean like my family has never been in a position at any point in the history of the United States where they were barred from getting a home loan or being able to buy land or own it or being able to marry or white people or being able to have the kind of property that you need in a generational wealth style system like American capitalism. Black people, only until like the civil rights movement and stuff, and a little bit before that, were able to get like home loans. Like there was a point in time where black people couldn't marry white people. There was a point in time where black people like couldn't own property and women couldn't own property. Like what? Like there's so many systemic issues, and you're like, well, they can. Yeah. What do you mean, 1968, dude? My mom was 10. My mom was 10 years old when black individuals in America were considered equal under the law. Do you think that maybe my mom benefited from having parents that had full rights? And that she had full rights and passed that down to me as well? Imagine if your parents, for the first 10 years of their life, literally did not have equality under the constitutional law that this whole country provides and presides over. There's not generational wealth in much of the black community because of that, which is why part of redlining, part of, I mean, there's just so many aspects to this about, like, housing in general, how it was hard to get home loans. There was places that you couldn't go. People, white flight is a great example, and they take their money with them, and because there's no generational wealth in the black communities, those places fall apart. Downtown Saginaw right now, if you go there, big part of that is black people moved in, and they're like, oh, that's a bad side of town. Moved out, poverty ensues, and what does poverty breed? Poverty breeds crime, and poverty also breeds other things. Like, it's not like a racial disposition towards crime, dude. You enslaved an entire people based on the color of their skin, didn't provide them generational wealth, and then we tie fucking school funding to property taxes. Of course you're going to fail being able to like provide quality schools if people there not only don't have property to pay taxes on, but can't afford to pay the property tax when it comes due. Speaking of which, I gotta do that for my summer property tax. Good reminder of myself. But like there's so many systemic issues just tied to this one issue of just being not white. Just not being white. That rolls over into future generations. Now, that wealth gap is slimming over time, as they have had constitutional rights since the civil rights movement, right? But the feds still killed Martin Luther King right after that. Like, what? Like, come on, dude. Like, I just don't know how you can just look at this without any historical lens whatsoever and go like, yeah, everyone's equal now. It's totally fine. No big deal. Idiot. Fucking idiot, dude. Nick, thanks for the video biddies. And then there's school choice, which is BS because all schools should be of high quality. Yeah, conservatives keep wanting to fund the public schools. Absolutely. 100%. So stupid.
Really?
Yes.
No, I know you looked it up. It's not just that. Property taxes have a lot to do with it, though. There's also, so they, it doesn't have. It's not about funding school budgets. It's about the amount of budget that a school gets based on the property taxes and the property values around the area. And if the property values and the property taxes around the area are high, you will get more federal funding for your public school in the space. It's not that it's a one-to-one. Like I give, $500 in the summertime or $1,000 in the wintertime or whatever for my property taxes or whatever they fucking are. It doesn't mean that all of that money goes to a public school. It means that it determines the amount of funding that you have. And then depending on districting, of course, which has to do a lot with gerrymandering and redlining, then these places are deemed not to need the amount of budget that they need, and a lot of them end up closing down. This is a big problem again in my community. We have several schools that closed down in black communities because there just wasn't the funding there needed to keep them open, even though the population was necessarily high for those areas. Those schools are bigger than the school I went to, but they're more impoverished. In fact, poverty in my city is higher than the national average by about 3 times. And so is food insecurity. It's about 38% or something here, roughly, which the national average is about 13, 14. And so, like, all of these factors play a role. Property taxes are very important to this. It just doesn't manifest in the same exact way. It doesn't mean that they're 100% funded by property taxes. It's not what I mean when I say that. Schools in Baltimore don't even have AC. That's fucking wild.
So, what are some of those advantages? Sometimes they're small, and sometimes they're really big.
No, look at my lips. Big girl.
I'm sorry. Did he just do hashtag BBC there? Did he just fucking? Jesus fucking Christ, bro. What a fucking scumbag.
Really big.
No, look at my lips. Bigger.
And what unit do you use to quantify this? You're not gonna tell us, are you?
Unit? It's a social thing. What do you mean unit? What? You can't like mathematically quantify social interactions, you fucking idiot.
Like the privilege of always seeing people who look like you in books and movies.
That's a great example of privilege. Absolutely. I didn't bring it up. That's a great example. The example of representation is a fantastic example of the different amounts of privileges. His voice is so fucking annoying. He's 100% purposely making it deep. Yep, to compensate for lack of masculinity, lack of confidence for sure.
First of all, no one looks like me. Just because a character is white or black or whatever doesn't mean I can empathize any more or less.
Yes, it does. It literally does. I mean, this is just sociological. It's just evolutionary. This is an issue that we have to overcome. We literally do have a bigger problem empathizing with people if they look different from us, especially if you're not consciously thinking about empathy and if you haven't worked on empathy, right? Like a kid doesn't naturally just empathize with everybody. You naturally empathize more often with people that look like you. This is just it's not even really like debatable. No, you can overcome that obviously, and you can be like, wow, I really empathize with this, and that's fine. But like that's not really how it works. Yeah, it does. It takes representation, and also it just takes. Again, from a white perspective, I've always been represented. I've literally always seen people that look like me in every piece of media, always, forever. I always have. And there's pieces of media now that come out, and I have less interest in them, not because I think they're bad, but because they don't represent me. Like I don't really identify. I don't know, like the L word that came out a while ago. Like that was for lesbians, right? And people of the LGBT community. It's not really for me. It's not really my shit. There's young teen stuff. I'm not a young teen. It's nothing to do with my skin color. Not a young teen. I don't need YA movies. There's like lots of stuff that's just not for me, and that's fine because I'm not represented by them, and that's okay. And then there's stuff that I find that maybe I'm not represented by, but I still find enjoyment out of because of whatever the topic might be, is something of interest to me. Like a fantasy show with lots of people of color in it or something. I don't know. Shadow and Bone is a good example of this, where actually I was actually very genuinely surprised about the series Shadow and Bone. It was actually very fun. Loki's technically pan, but yes. I don't know how you have a problem with representation, dude. I have no problem. Or no idea how you have a problem, rather.
And secondly, every form of entertainment has every conceivable race in them nowadays. And
nowadays, literally this just started happening. I did not grow up with this at all.
thirdly, there is a whole slew of TV series and movies that are populated solely with black people.
Name a movie from prior to the 2010s that is solely black people and isn't one of the two things. Tragedy porn or a wacky comedy. How many? Not a lot, dude. A lot of slavery and gang movies and a lot of like Medeas. Blaxploitation is a good example too. Yeah. But I would consider blaxploitation kind of the wacky shit, but whatever, yeah. However you want it. Those three things then. Black trauma is still the main type of genre. I agree with you. Like that 12 Years a Slave shit, where it's like, yeah, it's a good Oscar bait movie, but like, you know, this is why people like Jordan Peele are just doing a really great job with like, here's a black movie about black stuff, and it's a horror movie, and we're gonna do a black horror movie. The new movie Nope is coming out, which looks intriguing. Like stuff like that. Like I don't know, Lovecraft Country. I actually didn't really care for Lovecraft Country. I wanted to, but it went 400 miles an hour. I didn't feel like there was any pacing into it. Into the Spider-Verse was great. Yeah. And these are all post 2010s, right? Like, and we're getting a lot of good stuff post 2010. And I agree. It's getting better. Of course it is. But that's the point. Like, we want to make sure that continues to go, because every time these come out, people like Undoomed are like, no, why do they need to have a black person here? Like, Black Panther came out and people lost their fucking minds. Like, so stupid. You should watch a movie that makes fun of blaxploitation films, though. Black Dynamite is one of the best sort of, I guess, black comedies, but it's making fun of blaxploitation films. It's really great. I think it's on HBO right now. You should check it out. It's really fun. You should read Lovecraft Country. The book is really good and has an actual ending. Interesting.
Which is great. If there's a market for it, go for it.
That might seem like no big deal, but imagine if no one looked like you in your favorite movie.
What? Why is it reasonable that guy just punched
Does that
that?
make you feel left out or sad?
No. But now that you told...
Yeah, we're white. We are white. They're... Oh my fucking God, bro. Buddy, you have always been represented. You don't understand. How can you not empathize one time with somebody and just be like, what would it be like to never see myself in any media whatsoever? You don't know what it's like at all. I don't know what it's fucking like, but I can hear other people's experiences and be like, hey, I don't like this. And be like, yeah, I think that maybe, yeah, that does sound like it sucks. Like...
told the kids that you want that response, I'm sure they want to please you and do it for you.
Or it can be in the people who are usually in charge, like teachers, your parents' boss, and presidents. Those people are usually white.
What is even the point of this argument? You want to have racial quotas for employment?
No. People are literally just saying, hey, isn't it interesting that, you know, most things are white-oriented spaces, even though the country has more than just white people in it? Now I think about it, I can't really remember a ton of movies that have POC main character that aren't Will Smith. Yeah, I mean, in there's this phenomenon that happens. We were actually talking about this last night, Sarah and I. Why Lil Nas X really bothers a lot of people, which I think is great. There is the phenomenon of a black person being accessible in media, and I know you know what I'm talking about. Will Smith is one of them. Like Idris Elba, sort of Morgan Freeman. Not always the darkest skinned people. Dark skinned black people definitely have a little bit less good of a time in spaces like this. But you know, a white person might say, oh, they're well spoken because they'll have like a sort of a little bit of a white diction, but it's not too much. So Will Smith gets to say some funny stuff, you know, oh, you motherfucker, and then we get to go, ooh, I'm woke, and something like that. But Lil Nas X is a really great example of someone that just goes against all of that, because obviously he's gay. He is a rapper, and so white people don't fucking, you know, our generations and younger really do, but like people like Undoomed don't like this shit. He's openly like not religious, big, and he's dark skinned. Not to mention like tattoos and stuff, but like and he doesn't like try to, you know, be marketable. He just is who he is, which makes him marketable, which is really cool. And so I really respect it, even if I don't really fuck with his music as much. It is good, but it's like it's not really my thing. But like it's so wild that like you can if you just like pay attention to this shit, you just look at it, you know what I mean, and go like, wow, that was a wild one. Hey, I see a few insecure little babies in my chat right now. Are you guys okay? You guys doing okay? It's not just skin, but the culture. Absolutely, of course. There's babies here. Yeah, look at these little babies. They don't look a little sad. But yeah, good time, man. Anyway, I just think it's funny that people like Lil Nas are like kind of turning that on its head and making these kinds of people like uncomfortable. You know what I mean?
And in case you have forgotten, 5 years ago we had a black president.
Wow, fucking racism defeated, bro. Black president. You know who else was accessible? Barack fucking Obama, dude. Are you kidding me? Jesus fucking Christ. I'll have you know I voted for Barack Obama 0 times.
Served 2 terms, actually. And right now we have a black vice president.
Wow.
Sure seems like you could do just about anything if you put your mind to it, doesn't it?
Wow, man. Wow. I have watched the new video, yeah.
This is probably something something you've never really thought about.
It's a good thing to not be constantly thinking about race.
But don't
Who's constantly thinking about it? I'm certainly not. Bro. Like, what the fuck?
you often wonder why those people are often white and not another color?
No, because I assume that people are hired based on merit.
White privilege could also be in things you don't have to worry about, that people of color do. Like, feeling unsafe when you walk past a police officer.
That's what you get for dicking around.
So he just said, did you catch that? He used a clip to say it. Some of you are seeing this. Someone said, black people feel uncomfortable walking past a police officer. That's what you get for dicking around. What? What? How do you not think that's fucking racist, dude? This fucking guy. He's such a fucking loser, dude.
Ramble was just a gorilla.
Teaching black kids that police officers are evil is probably the most dangerous thing that you people have done.
Oh,
I
my
cannot
fucking
stress
God,
this enough.
Jesus fucking Christ. Yeah, don't teach them that police officers are a threat to their well-being. They just are, and always have been. Thanks for following me. What a fucking loser, dude. Rob Lobster, thanks for following too. This guy's a fucking dumbass, dude.
Having people assume you're bad at something because of your skin color.
Congratulations, you described an actual racist. And you'll only create more of them by pushing this CRT bullshit.
What? What do you mean you're only going to create more of them? Talking about what's bad is not creating more people that do the bad thing. What are you going to do, ignore it? And people just like, oh, I don't know, I'm going to... They won't stumble upon racism, surely. What a loser, dude. Singularity, thanks for the Prime. Queer Goblin Last, thanks for going to Mix Vivian. Thanks. Where are you here? Are you here right now? Did I miss you? Oh, you are. Hello. How you doing?
You just keep talking and talking.
Easily finding a Band-Aid that matches your skin tone.
That's...
I know he doesn't think this is a big deal, but this is like, especially in cosmetics, this is actually a fucking good, like a good topic. If you've ever talked to someone who's not white, things like this, it's just the little shit. You're just not considered for stuff like a Band-Aid. And I know that sounds to someone like Undoomed not like a big deal. It's not really a big deal. It's just another thing. It's just another little thing that just adds on to the negative experience, right? Like, it's just like one of those, like, you know, and cosmetics are obviously, you know, can't match skin tone. Some of them are only for fucking white people or light-skinned black people, which is, of course, the accessible kind of black person to white America. Undoomed would inherently agree without necessarily agreeing out loud. But, I mean, it's just these little things, dude. It's just the little fucking things that keep piling on. If I talk to a black person about their experience, like, hey, what are some things that you see day to day in your life, or that you grew up with, or whatever, just any of your experiences that ever, at any point in your life, that just, like, you felt slighted because you were black. And then you ask that same question to a white person of the same age that has a roughly the same background, and you will hear vastly different answers, because one of them won't have anything to say, the white person. And the black person will be like, yeah, I mean, this happens and that happens. I know this isn't critical race theory, I know. He doesn't know what it is, though.
Fuck's sake. Kids don't want skin-colored Band-Aids. They want fucking Spider-Man on it.
We're not talking about...
Or people always asking you where you're really from.
Yeah, you think that might have something to do with your insane proclivity to always label people from where they're from?
What are you talking about, dude? People literally do that all the time. Why is he so stupid? How has he never been in... Does he not talk to other people or what? People literally do that all the time. So I feel like... Anyway, I'm trying not to tokenize my ex, but because I brought her up before, but this is just where I experienced it, because again, I'm white, so this is my experience with it. She was obviously not white. She was Arab, half Arab, and so she was obviously darker skinned than me. And we were together, and we would be like, you know, being out together, and people would be like, "Oh, where are you from?" All the time, literally all the time. I don't know how many times I had to hear her explain to some white, usually a lady, some white lady about how she's from Kuwait, but her mom is white. Like probably every time we went out somewhere and there was an interaction with a white lady 35 or older. Pretty much every time. Where are you from really, though? Yeah, exactly. I literally had one of my relatives...
I am glad I stopped following people like Undoomed.
Thanks,
The
Marie.
old skeptic community is toxic AF.
I agree.
Except you and Hannah, y'all goats.
Thanks for the 420. I appreciate that. The weed number. Wait, I gotta... Hold on. Anytime the weed number happens, and I have this around, you guys want some marijuana? I don't even know if any came. Oh, it did. Not a lot. But that's a custom here. Good call, baby boo. Does the carpet match the curtain? Yeah. Naquaman, thanks for the 8 months, dude. But no, one of my relatives, we were at a family gathering or something, and I was with her. Obviously, took her there, and we were hanging out, and I think it was my cousin, was like, "Oh, hey, where are you from?" You know, the same thing. And oh, my mom is white, my dad's from Kuwait, blah blah blah. And at the time, it was, you know, post 9/11. We started dating in like 2006. I'm old, chat. I was in high school, and like 2005, 2006, somewhere there. Can't quite remember. I think it was 2005. And yeah, it was definitely 2005. And took her to the family thing. She explained that, and then like, oh, so is your dad a Muslim? Yeah, he's a Muslim. Oh, but he's one of the good ones, right? Yep.
African American, Asian American. Spoiler alert, they're just Americans.
These are just some of the ways that white
I just love the idea that a black person goes. First of all, not many people say African American anymore. The black community seems to have like really taken to just being the black community, and saying like, I'm black, and that seems to work well for most people. Now some people delineate depending on their heritage. Maybe they're like, I'm Haitian, I'm from Nigeria, I'm from Benin, I don't know, like, but most of the community says I'm black. Like, it's all my black friends. I don't know about you guys, but they all prefer to be like, African American sounds like patronizing, both to me and to them. But it's not. Everyone agrees that everyone's American if they want to be. Like, that's fine. I genuinely don't understand why acknowledging that there is a difference he thinks is bad, but then also saying like, hey, and that difference doesn't mean many things. That's the part he has a big umbrage with. You can't mention that there are differences, but if you do, you can't mention that it's okay and that someone should be treated better. But at the same time, he'll do something like, oh, all you feminists just want to say women and men are just like each other, which isn't a thing that anybody says, but he's literally said that before. Very strange. Do not call me American. I wouldn't dare. What are you puffing on this fine evening? I don't even know what it's called, dude. I actually probably smoked too much of that. I can feel it in my brain right now. It just tasted like OG Kush. I don't know what thing is in here right now. What cart is in here? I have flour though. I've been smoking crunch berries is what we got right now.
white
really
privilege
good.
can show up without anybody noticing.
Tastes like
Why
blue.
don't you just shut your cocksucker there, dickweed?
Wow, it's almost like it's invisible, isn't it?
In fact,
Wow. Jalen Jean, really good comment. African American, the terms African American, the term Native American, are ways to assuage white guilt, in my opinion. You might be onto something there. Yep. Yep. Might be onto something there.
Part of having white privilege can mean
I
that
can't believe this is taking so long. I'm so
you don't
over him.
even know you have it.
It's really quite remarkable.
I'm so
this
glad the rest of the videos are
original
slower.
sin, isn't it? You
Original
don't feel it, you don't know you have it, but magically there it is.
It's not a sin. No one is saying that white people are bad for having any privileges. Not one person has ever said that. Not a one. The only thing that anybody has ever said about white people having privileges is that just acknowledge that they exist and try to understand how it would be to not have them. That is it. And then just treat somebody, you know, as equitable as you can and understand that there's differences in your lives. Like, black people can grow up rich. That's a thing that happens, but it doesn't mean they're not black, and it doesn't mean that, like, they're not going to face some form of something, like a different kind of treatment than they would if they were white. It doesn't necessarily mean that that treatment has to be bad. It's likely that it might be bad in America, at least at times, not every time, of course, but sometimes. And that's okay to acknowledge. It's not okay that it happens. It's okay to acknowledge that it happens. And it's good to acknowledge that these things happen, because even the idea of being uber rich, like LeBron James, for instance, I think when he moved out to L.A., was it in L.A. or Cleveland? I can't remember. LeBron James had the N-word just fucking spray painted on his fucking garage door. The dude's a borderline billionaire for playing basketball, man. Like, and he will be probably a billionaire for sure. Like, he's not immune from this shit, and it sucks. Rock, thanks for following. Like, it's just one of those things, man, where your treatment it changes based on who you are. And it's okay to acknowledge these things and we just try to mitigate the overall societal friction that we have. And to do that, we just acknowledge that there is societal frictions. And we try to, especially in the white community, especially in at least my spaces, when these conversations come up with our black friends or whatever, it's like, okay, I didn't really realize that. And so many times I've talked to whether it's black women or black men, black NBs, whatever, whoever, just a black person in general. They all have different experiences, of course, you know, being different parts of gender, sexualities, whatever they got going on, even different skin tones and being from different parts of the country. All that changes. But a through line seems to be that regardless of what it is, black people tend to have to consider things about their safety and well-being that I have never once had to consider. Like where your cell phone is held, making sure it doesn't look like you're grabbing a gun, making sure that you are... The way you... This one really pissed me off. The way that they talk to white people they don't know. Never consider that in my life. Ever. I'm so casual. What you see is what you get all the time. But it's not. But it's safe for me to be that way, right? And I've heard many people say this before, you know. And then of course it gets even worse if you're a trans person. It gets even worse if you're, you know, if you're LGBT member, if you're in an unsafe place, or you know, in Mississippi in general, like stuff like that. Like, there's nothing wrong with acknowledging these things and making sure that we try to mitigate it, man. It's so much fucking coward shit. Undoomed. It's just fucking coward shit. Like, why not just have the conversation and be like, okay, and I synthesize that information and just move forward with it. There's no bad messaging in this book whatsoever.
And you can never get rid of it. Gee, it's almost like it's not a thing.
The thing about white privilege is that you don't have to think about being white.
You shouldn't
Literally, it was just saying.
think about race all the time. That's a thing to strive for.
No.
This was also true of me.
Good.
As a kid, I never thought about being white.
Excellent.
I never thought that I had extra privileges.
Perfect. Kids shouldn't have to think about those things.
But because of my white privilege, strangers smiled at me when I walked down the street.
Dandelion with a comment. Black people are treated like invaders in wealthy areas. White people can be so blind to it because white supremacy is meant to shelter white people from understanding their role in other suppression. I agree. In fact, I did a Sunday service a few months ago with my co-host on there, Arian Foster, who is a millionaire black man, and so he's very wealthy, and he played in the NFL. He did. And so he made a bunch of money. He got an Airbnb because he makes music as well. He got an Airbnb for somewhere in Texas, I think, or nearby, for a gig that he was playing. And he got this Airbnb, and you know he's a loaded guy. And they bought the Airbnb, and it was him and like 3 or 4 of his friends, all black and all men, And when they went there, this white lady that rented the property to them was very upset. It was like, I didn't realize that there was going to be, that you were all going to be here. And she was made very uncomfortable. He was like, oh, yeah, no, it's fine. It's just going to be us. We're just going to spend the night, and we're going to leave tomorrow and do the gig and then get somewhere else to go stay.
Good call.
Or whatever. It was very casual. And then she's like very made uncomfortable by this because there's multiple black men there. You know, and he's an athletic guy with tattoos. He's got a beard. At the time he had like little twisty braids and shit. And it's like, or like maybe it was a fro at the time. And you know, her upper class, white and delightsome neighborhood was going to be disrupted by 3 or 4 black guys sharing a space together. And it was just, he told me the story. He's like, fuck you, then I'm leaving. And I was so fucking frustrated. And he was just like, yeah, that's pretty normal. And I'm just like, this blows my mind. And just like those conversations have illuminated so much about, like, I'm going to call it the little shit, even though this particular instance I feel like is a big shit. Maybe it's not. This would fucking piss me off. If I was there, I would have fucking lost my mind. But I have no musical talent, so I wasn't invited. Yeah, man. I mean, the fact that a millionaire, and he's famous in Texas, right? He's Arian Foster. If you know that name, you know how famous he is in Texas. He is like a really enjoyed person in that area. And like, man, for him to be treated that way by some just fucking lady, I don't know. Just little stuff like that. And I'm not going to tell you any horror stories about my other friends because they're personal stuff, but that one he shared on stream, and so just ridiculous. Muyayo, thanks so much for the follow. Starlinus with 100 biddies. I feel bad for Undoomed because I can't imagine living in a mindset that I somehow am intellectually superior while also being incredibly stupid while people have me. Oh, woof. Wormy, thanks for the 3 gifted subbies, dude. Give one to YRN, Lusab, and Candy Corpses. Yep, I'm from Houston. Exactly, dude. That's what I'm saying. So stupid.
That's because you're a moron.
How do you know they wouldn't have
Bronze Beaver, thanks for following.
smiled anyway?
I would get invited to more places and parties.
How do you know that? I said, how do you know that?
I felt safe when out and about.
Well, kudos to your
He's stopping at everything she's saying.
parents for providing a safe environment, I guess.
I had more opportunities.
Again, I ask you, how do you know that?
People didn't look down on me.
Do you seriously think all white people just walk around looking down on black people? Where the fuck were you raised?
Why does he think that someone, just that it happens means everyone did it? Does he always have to take everything in such bad faith, or is he capable of listening? Like, I think he might have like a mental thing going on. Like, is he incapable of understanding the nuances behind this? Like, everything seems to be to the maximal degree that he can possibly understand it. You know what I mean?
And I had a better shot at success.
For fuck's sake, you guys, we've been over this. How do you know that?
Okay, I'm going back to my original question. What's going on?
I had all these advantages even though I grew up without a dad, no money, and never really knew what tomorrow would look like.
This is like some form of insanity. How the hell do your privilege compare to a rich black kid with both parents then?
I just talked about that, so I don't need to go over it again, but I am going to highlight the fact that he doesn't understand the question.
Having white privilege doesn't mean that everything about my life is perfect or better than a person of color.
If it doesn't mean your life is better, then what's even the point of this?
It means that I had a head start.
Everybody has their own pros
He's literally stopping every time she says one sentence.
and cons. It's part of
It's
being
insane.
human. You
Starless, thanks for the tier 2 for 2 months, dude.
can never
guy's a
create
baby.
perfect equity. And
I'm
what's
so
more,
over
we
this
shouldn't
guy.
try because it always ends in genocide.
What? What the fuck? Oh my god, bro. Oh my god, bro.
I didn't earn that head start. I didn't ask for that head start.
Well, maybe you needed it since you were in a single-parent household with no money. But the main problem with this is that I just don't believe a word you're saying.
But I had a head start because I was white.
You don't know that.
Well, I love it.
Okay. What if I told you, Undoomed, that there are studies that know that? Studies agree with this. On average, a person who is white of equal status in class to someone who is black has generally a I guess more upward mobility within society, whether you consider that economic or social. Both ways it works. Studies just bear this out. It's like literally, yes, we do know this. You could say like she specifically doesn't know this, but you can extrapolate. You can just like path your life and be like, oh yeah, here's points in my life where definitely I feel like if I was black I would have been hindered. I've had racist bosses. If I was black I wouldn't have gotten those jobs. So what would I be doing right now if I was black? Right? What would I be doing? I was super poor for a long time, but I was white, so I could get these specific jobs because they wouldn't hire me. What if I didn't have a white-sounding name, like I mentioned before? My ex-boss was like, "Oh, I don't hire people with complex names." What if I had a complex name to her? I had a friend named DePonte, which he was a black guy in Florida, and if I had his name, which is clearly a complex name in her opinion, where would I be now, right?
Her ramble was just.
By the way, I was just talking about. I brought him up because I was just talking about him with a friend earlier today, and his wife made really amazing food, and that's what I was thinking about. But he had a great name too. I really like that name. That guy was fun. This Juan, thanks for 7 months. IR's High Elf, thanks for following as well. Jake is a pretty complex name. It's the whitest fucking name in the world, dude.
He'll probably be calling me a fascist next.
But here's the thing. I could feel guilty about my white privilege, which I did for a while.
Yes, if everyone keeps telling you that all that you have is because of your skin color.
They're not saying it's... They're not saying that everything they have is due to their skin color, you fucking man-child. How can you not listen to any nuance whatsoever? This book has not said everything you ever get is due to your fucking white skin. Are you fucking kidding me? God.
You would, wouldn't you?
I don't do guilt.
But what good would that do?
Nothing.
Who would that help?
No one.
It doesn't make me a bad person to have white privilege, but I can't pretend that it doesn't exist.
No, but you can conclude that it doesn't exist.
Wow. It does, though. You know what's interesting? You know what's really fucking interesting? Every single clip that he has shared has featured lines from white people. Every single one. An internal bias he doesn't realize is occurring, right? This is a great example of just a little thing that would be different if he was black, right? Because wouldn't he have experienced more black media because it's marketed towards him if he was black? And if he was black, he would maybe identify less with fucking MacGyver, or the guy who played MacGyver in playing in Stargate right here. Like wouldn't you think that there was maybe like maybe a little bit of a white bias here, my friend? Strange and interesting. Especially because you're older, so you only have access to the nostalgia of stuff with white people, really. Of course. How has Undoomed been using so many movie clips in his videos for so many years without getting obliterated by... If you do very short clips, it's not a big deal.
What are you, the village idiot?
So instead of feeling guilty, I realized I needed to see it.
Well, it sure sounds like you're still feeling guilty.
It was up to me to accept that my
You call you racist for suggesting that? He could.
privilege was there and to learn more about it and how it affects people around me, especially people of color.
But you're not going to describe any of that in your nebulous musings, are you?
I also learned that I could use my privilege for good. You can too. Commit to listening to people of color.
I only commit to listening to people who I deem worthy. And that has nothing to do with skin color.
That's not what it means. It doesn't mean that just if a black person speaks, you stop everything you're doing and you go like, oh yes, please, you have my unimpeached attention right now. You are black. I need to listen to you at all times. Like, that is not what's being said. It's not what's being implied. I have no idea why that's a thing you would assume that you had to respond to in the way that you did. All it really fucking is, literally all it fucking is, hey, when black people tell anybody at all about experiences and you are listening to that experience, actually listen to the experience. Try to understand where they're coming from. Just if you're listening. If they're talking to you about it, listen to them. And actually try to empathize with the situation and then understand, as a white person, I have never experienced some of the things that they experience. Now, there's places where we do experience similar things, of course. We're just people. But because of the history of our country, we have some baggage that comes across with all of this stuff. I don't know why you would deny such a thing. I have no idea why you would deny such a thing. We have different experiences. That's okay. Listen to someone else's experience when you choose to. You chose to listen to this right now. So why not just actually listen? Unless it's Candace Owens, true. But she's delightsome, you know. She's so well spoken. Fucking these people, man.
If you'd been listening, you'd know that Nintendo's passed through everything.
Learning from them.
What? What does that mean? What?
Helping others without your privilege, which sometimes means stepping back.
This puppy has been so fucking comf this whole time, dude. I love this dog.
And letting them take the lead.
Are you talking about the workplace, or is your circle of friends strictly hierarchical? I mean, either way, it doesn't make any sense, because at work, you have a boss. And in your circle of friends, there shouldn't be a boss. But maybe that's
not true. I'm the boss. I'm the boss of my friends.
Just me. No, it's not.
Since I didn't earn my privilege, it's not really mine. But I have the power to give it up.
How can you give up something that's not yours?
When it puts me at the front of the line.
Does this happen often to you? Because I always end up at the place of the line that I arrived at.
When it gets in the way of somebody else.
So do you just yield as soon as someone challenges you?
Or when it can lift someone up.
But do they
Why does he keep interrupting? Just listen to the whole sentence and then say your thing, dude.
Served
Doodle Bird, thanks for the 7 months.
To be lifted up. Just having a specific skin color doesn't warrant lifting anyone up.
It's not always clear how to do this, but it's important to try.
This is the part where I start disagreeing with this lady. Because she's on some white savior bullshit. So, this is not a terrible opinion to have, and I understand the impulse. But I was going to say, it's kind of a lib thing going on here. A little bit like, oh, I'm white. I can save them. Like, stop it. Just stop. But instead, he has the wrong take here. Genuinely having trouble listening to this guy's sharp sounding. It's terrible. Yeah. White savior vibes from the get-go. I agree, especially this shirt. I wasn't going to mention it, but now we're mentioning it. Come on. But her heart's in the right place, and that's what matters. It's about the understanding, you know. Tier 2 as well, Doodle Bro. Thank you. You gonna learn today. You brought it to my attention. Thanks, man. I like your flag though. Absolutely.
Maybe someday you'll get horribly sick and die.
Wow. What the fuck?
And what? The descriptions in this video are about as vague and ill-defined as they could get. No one has been helped by this.
When we do these things, we should not expect an award for it.
Great, then I guess they shouldn't expect me to give anything up.
It's just the right thing to do.
Except you can't say what that thing is.
I mean, sure, I guess we'll find out some fucking examples just so we can say. I don't know. There's lots of social situations where things like that might happen. It'd be very specific little stuff. It's not going to be normally big shit, but I think a really good example of this in a way that actually impacts somebody is if you see a black person being harassed by police in some way, record it and then intercede if you can safely, of course, and not escalating. You don't want to make the situation worse for anybody, but just making sure that we hold police accountable and at least trying until we can finally get a system in place that makes sense. By abolishing and then recreating policing in a way that doesn't suck and is run by communities and has people qualified for their positions, and there's a whole bunch of stuff. Anyways, not to lefty all everything. But I mean, that's a situation. If you have a coworker and they're being overlooked for a position that you're pretty sure that they deserve, Yeah, you can make things go in here. If they experience harassment, you can go to bat for them. As long as you're not centering yourself in these situations and taking the attention and putting it onto yourself and trying to be like, I have saved the blacks, then you're not gonna have a fucking problem, really. Like, just supporting somebody is not a big deal. Like, that's really what this is about. It's not about, like, giving them stuff. Like, you know, I don't think like being like, oh yes, I'm a black person. I feel so guilty, and then you take your shirt off. That's some lib shit, man. Those people that like prostrate themselves like, we're sorry for slavery. And it's like, bro, you're embarrassing, and it's weird, and like this doesn't help anybody, and it just like focuses on you instead of like helping black people that exist today. It's like, donate to the ACLU or something. Like, donate to NAACP. Like, help out BLM. Go to a march. Stand in the back. Or, if the police are there, stand in front because they're less likely to attack you. Like, stuff like that. Like, there's lots of things you can do. I don't know. It's like little shit. You could also just, like, be kind to your friends and not treat them a different way just because their skin color might be different. That'd be cool. And also, hey, big shout out. Hey, can we stop fetishizing black bodies? White guys? I'm talking to white guys here. White guys. What the fuck is wrong with you? I am hearing so many horror stories from my black friends recently about how lots of you are just like, oh, I want to, like I saw a dating profile recently that was shared with me. A dating profile of a guy, a very white, beady-eyed little guy on like Tinder. And in his bio, it said, it was the chocolate bar emoji, and it said chocolate bar emoji preferred. What the fuck? And when asked why, he's like, well, I've never been with a black woman before. Sounds exciting. Like, what the fuck, dude? Can you stop? Weebs do this shit too. Like, Asian women are very, very, probably even more so, like, get this treatment as well. Stop doing that shit. I keep having to yell at the dudes lately. Dudes, stop being sexist, stop being racist, stop being fetishistic towards people unless you have consent. Stop being fucking, like, weird, man. Stop being like this. Why do I keep having to yell at you? I should not have to be the king of the straights. Fucking calm down, you fucking weirdos. It's been bothering me recently. It's been a topic of conversation for like 2 weeks for me in my personal. It's just nuts. It's been bothering me. Just fucking. Ugh. Chasers are gross. It's fucking grody, dude. Does a white lady do that? Oh, white ladies do that with hair a lot. They're like, oh, can I touch your hair? There was that video the other day of the woman taking, like, I think she was taking like thirst traps in the bar or something. She was looking good, and she's like posing and stuff, and her phone's on the other side of the room, and a white lady comes up and just like fucking reaches for her hair, and she's like, no, like, what the fuck? Why do you even have to fucking do that? Fucking weird, man. As a straight, I can confirm we're not okay. I don't know what the fuck is wrong with them. They're weird, man. Weirdos.
Seeing your privilege isn't easy. It took me a long time.
I, too, have problems seeing invisible things. Do you think it might show up on infrared?
Using it
Shows up in sociological studies all the time.
for good and giving it up is even harder.
Well, I'm glad something's harder around here because I sure am not.
Okay, so there's the sex joke, obligatory sex joke. Were you supposed to be hard? Did you think that somehow a woman making this thing was for your sexual gratification in some way? This is what I'm talking about. Fucking weird. He's always like this. There's no reason for that at all. What a fucking gross scumbag, dude. What a gross fucking scumbag.
Well, it's hard to say.
Some sort of state secret.
No, just difficult to pronounce.
But if you're white and you're reading this book, I just want to say, understanding and acknowledging your white privilege is not just important. It is your responsibility.
I have many responsibilities in this world. That is not one of them.
Surprised he hasn't been offered a job at Blizzard. Fuck.
Have the courage to ask the question, what privileges do I have because I'm white?
Well, I have a higher probability of getting skin cancer, so there's that. Yay?
Then have even more courage to find out the answers.
Yes, because why would you put that in your book about white privilege? Quite a nice little scam the writers got going there. Just talks.
He says the word nice little scam you got going there, and then immediately puts please support me on Patreon. This fucking guy.
Some bullshit and then tell the reader to go out and do all the work. And since it's for kids, it's even more insidious. Who are they to complain?
The end.
Oh.
Reminds me of the Armored Skeptic. Undoomed has always been worse than Armored Skeptic. Greg has never been this bad, even at his worst.
Thank God.
Continue reading.
I agree, though. Yeah, he reminds me as well.
Continue educating yourself, and I will see you guys later.
Yeah, that'll happen.
Okay. So that's the end of the thing. He's just going to talk about, like, do his Patreon things. Yeah, Undoomed sucks. I'm sorry that was so long. I didn't realize that was going to be so fucking long. But he also interrupted literally every... There were sometimes he interrupted in the middle of sentences during that. Unnecessary. So the bottom line is this. White privilege may be a term that really grinds your white little gears. Okay. Really chaps my ass. But I don't give a fuck about your feelings on this at all. If you're white, just fucking deal with it, okay? Stop being a baby, okay? Hey, look at me. Stop being a fucking baby. I don't care about your feelings, all right? Some things are more important than your fucking fifis, okay, buddy? You're white, it's fine. I'm white, it's fine. It's not a big deal. No one really cares that we're white. The problem is, don't exacerbate. Don't exacerbate the problems that happen to people that aren't white. And try to be there in spaces, and don't allow the exacerbation of these problems in your spaces. So if someone's being racist in your group, tell them to fucking shut up. Tell them to calm the fuck down and get a better worldview, or kick them out. They're not part of your social group anymore. Social pressures on this are the best thing that you can do. Okay? Absolutely. What's your favorite type of cake? One that I'm not eating. I don't like cake. It's okay to be white, as it is literally okay. Yeah, it's literally. Yeah, it is. It's just okay. It's fine. Like, the power of OG Kush and nut butter got me through that vid. There's another example of that. I could smoke weed whenever I wanted before it was legal, and the likelihood of me going to prison was pretty low. Another example. The big message is this. I can't imagine if you're anti-white, if you're like a person that's not a lefty right now, I cannot imagine you have made it to this point in the video. But if you have, by chance, made it to this point, and you are like, white privilege isn't a thing, I want you to genuinely do this without being defensive, okay? I'm going to assume you have a black friend that you cite whenever someone calls you racist, okay? And you say, I can't be racist, I have a black friend. Good. Ask that black friend genuine questions. Just, whenever it is, don't assault them in the middle of the day and be like, hey, tell me about your black life. But if you have conversations about politics and stuff with this friend, because you did cite them as your friend, so that you can't be racist, so you must have a good relationship, just be like, hey, so I was watching this thing on white privilege the other day, and this idiot in a corn suit that makes me very emasculated and probably has a humongous pee-pee. It's just average. He said that like if I ask my black friend about specific issues that they have ever faced that they think is due to their skin color, that I would be surprised at their answers. Like, what are some things that you think about as a black person that you don't think that I necessarily have to think about just as your day-to-day, like maybe for your safety or just for, I don't know, whatever it is. And I guarantee you, if you ask a black person a genuine question like this, that is your friend, you'll probably get some surprising answers. You'll get surprising answers for a lot of people that you aren't like if you ask them genuine questions about their experience in life. Similarly, if you ask a woman about her experiences with sexism, it's going to blow your mind. If you ask someone you love, a woman you love in your life, if you're one of these straight cis white guys like me, okay? I dare you. Especially if you're anti rape culture isn't a thing. Feminism is bullshit. Go ahead and ask any of the women in your life, any of them. Okay? Hey, what's your experience with men being creepy? Because I don't think, I feel like men aren't that creepy. Go ahead. Ask that question if you dare. It's going to open up a big bag of worms. And it's going to be an uncomfortable conversation. But hopefully you come out the other side of that, treating the people around you better. Same thing if it happens with a black person as well. Like, you're going to have an uncomfortable conversation about, like, there's these little racist things, there's little sexist things, whatever happens. The people that you love and respect are facing, and it's just, like, part of their day-to-day. And we don't have to fucking go through that, dude. And it's a big eye-opener, man. It sucks. It sucks to find out that the people you love and care about go through, like, even slight pains like that. You know what I mean? That's just being catcalled doesn't make me feel good. Like not me being catcalled. Like a woman being catcalled. Like makes them uncomfortable. Have you been seeing the videos that have been coming out about women sharing their experiences in male spaces? It's not good, man. It's nice to catch a stream first thing in the morning, even if you're covering this piece of trash. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. You don't go out at night alone, do you? I have definitely gone out at night alone many times. Yeah. Male doctors minimizing women's pain, yeah. Yeah. Anyway, there's lots of stuff. Those are tough conversations to have, but I think they're important. You know what I mean? Yeah. If you're a man, ask a woman what she does to keep herself safe. I guarantee it'll blow your mind. I guarantee if you ask black person the same question, it'll blow your mind. Just go on 2-mile walks at night. Yeah, I'll go at night. I have no problem going out at night. You ever go outside in the corn suit? No, Matt. No, I don't. Fun fact, I'm disabled and never had a male doctor validate my pain until I finally got a black doctor. It's wild.